son. And that, is he really that serious about sin that he actually, he put his son on and said, I'm going to kill my own son. I'm going to let my own son pay the price for this. A lot of people have a problem with that God is not that justified, that kind of judgmental thing. Yeah, he absolutely detests sin. Okay? So then you got the resurrection. And I'm going to come in, like I said, more from apologetics. So in other words, you think, well, there's just only 3 or 4 different versions of the resurrection. You can't see it because the screen's not on. Matthew 28, verses 1 to 10. Mark 16, 9 to 14. Luke 24, 1 to 49. John chapters 20 and 21. Acts 1, so we're out of the Gospels. Acts 1, 6 to 11. And then 1 Corinthians 15, 3 to 8. Those are the most significant historical. Jesus Christ was risen, and people saw him. People say, well, 12 guys made this up. Well, actually, it would just be 11, because Judas by now is dead, killed himself. So there's 11. So just 11 guys made this up. So coming from more of apologetic nature, you really think 11 guys would make up a story, and then all 11 except John, so 10 of the 11 died and were martyred and killed for preaching the message that Jesus Christ died. Do you really think that 10 guys would go to their very death to pronounce that I saw Jesus Christ die? I saw Jesus Christ risen. I saw him alive, in the flesh. I saw him. You really think that they made it up and then they would go to their very death for this? Would you go to your death for what you know to be an absolute lie? And you know you're the one telling that lie. Maybe 1 or 2 of the 10, but 10 of them, and die very violently too. We're talking about Andrew being stoned. I forget which one of them was put on a cross, an X cross. So just like Christ put on an X cross. Then you got Peter, who was crucified but was hung upside down. You got another one that was martyred by being burned alive, set on fire. So you really think they'd go to these horrible deaths for just a lie? That's for you to decide. So a lot of people say, yeah, it's all made up. But we're going to look at one thing. So I'd like you to go, you can't see it. So do you guys have a Bible? Some people have a Bible, and everyone should. Look up Mark 16. This would have been on the screen, but technical difficulty. Normally Matthew is 1. We're going to look at Mark 16. Verses 9 to 14. So from apologetics, when people have a problem with the resurrection, I wouldn't necessarily say a problem. One of the things about the resurrection is that there's a different version, like who went to the tomb first. One will say it was Mary Magdalene was there. Some say that Peter and John went. Then they changed names about who all went. Basically, multiple people saw Jesus on the day he was resurrected. And they went there at different times. Something very significant. We had a pastor that came here and actually talked about the resurrection. And he talked about a while back. He's a guy from Capstone Ministries. He gave a rather lengthy sermon, but he was talking about the resurrection. But the significance that the women were there. Why did the women go? See, there's something. We read this now and we think nothing of the fact that there's women mentioned and they went to the tomb. That seems normal to us. That we would write a story and say that women went and saw the resurrected Christ first. You have to put yourself into perspective of the fact that they're writing this in the 1st century. And the fact that men who were writing these scriptures reported that women saw him first. That is not what you did. Women were not the ones that were supposed to give the message. Women were not the one that were going to be there. But they had no problem telling that story and saying women went. Why? Because this is what happened. So this is contrary to anything. If this was made up, this would have been men would have been there. But all of them report that the women were the one. To you and I,